Meanwhile, tonight, the results are still coming in. The Denver elections, though, are shaping up to be very interesting. First up, the so-called right to rest ordinance. Well, it's been crushed. Voters overwhelmingly opposed allowing the homeless to sleep or camp in public places. Not so clear, the issue of magic mushrooms, still a very close race. 46% have voted yes to decriminalize. 53% have voted no. Now, by far the most interesting development of the night, the Denver mayor's race appears destined for a runoff between incumbent Michael Hancock and Jamie Gillis, since no candidate picked up 50%. Denver 7's Jessica Porter is with the Gillis camp tonight. We'll hear from her in a moment. Let's begin now with Liz Gilardi, who is at Michael Hancock's headquarters. Liz?
Well, and during this election night watch party, Mayor Michael Hancock asked everyone to take a moment of silence to remember the 18-year-old victim killed in Highlands Ranch. And he started off his comments tonight saying he's keeping the community south of Denver in his prayers. And after that moment of silence, the mayor talked about what's ahead for his campaign. He says the runoff is another opportunity to tell his story, and he pointed to past mayors like Wellington Webb, who also faced a runoff but ended up winning. He did talk about how Denver has a significant number of new voters and wonders if that factored into this election, and again, trying to get his story across. Mayor Hancock talked about an inclusive Denver tonight, the challenges that come with tremendous growth, and why he believes he can keep the city moving forward. We asked him about the biggest difference between him and his opponent.
You know, Jamie's going to talk a lot about what she wants to do, what her plans are, but the reality is we're doing a lot of things. I know there's a lot during our forums. I would say to Jamie, we're doing that. So the reality is that we are addressing affordable housing, we're addressing mobility, we're managing growth, we're moving, trying to bring people up through the scale in this city. You're going to hear that very clear. I think it's a very clear choice. Do we stop or do we keep moving?
And former Governor John Hickenlooper was here tonight to show his support for the mayor. I also had a chance to talk with him about the tragedy in Highlands Ranch, and he says that he is thinking about those families tonight. And now we're going to toss it over to my colleague Jessica to see how the other campaign is gearing up for a runoff. Jessica?
Thank you, Liz. Gillis and her supporters very excited about the results so far, showing her in a close second against Mayor Michael Hancock. And she says that's what makes her campaign so remarkable, that they were able to do so well with voters against an incumbent, considering that she's a lesser-known name. So let me give you a little background about Jamie Gillis. She's the president of a consulting firm here in Denver called Centro Inc. She's most well-known for being the head of the Rhino Arts District. We're out here in Rhino tonight celebrating where her watch party is. Now, I asked her what happens if a runoff goes down. She says she plans on going after the voters of the other candidates who dropped out.
Well, I think if I'm in the runoff with Mayor Hancock, clearly the first step to that is building bridges with the other candidates and with their voters, and trying to understand where they're at and how we bring them into our campaign and our strategy.
And of course, a runoff will only happen if no candidate gets 51% of the vote. And then if that happens and there is a runoff, the top two candidates will be running again and campaigning, and voters will have to decide again on June 4th. Gillis also giving her condolences about this shooting at STEM School Highlands Ranch, saying that she is praying for the victims and their families. Reporting live in Rhino. Ann, back to you.
All right, Jessica, thank you so much. And on that note, talking about STEM School, the school, I think it goes without saying, will be closed for the rest of the week. We just learned that.